an hour and a half down.
Yeah,
But, I mean, Bakersfield's still about the same too. It's on the other side of town.
No, nine. How long you had it?
So, Granicus is up and running.
Figure it out? Yeah.
But, I'll give it experimenting, I believe is the right word.
All right.
It's time to call the general session to order. Council, would you like to read us out on closed session?
Yes, there's 2 items on the closed session concerning CS1. There was some direction given in closed session. Concerning CS2, there was a discussion had and no action taken on that. Nothing further to report.
Okay. At this time, roll call vote. I'm sorry, I did call for it. Did I not? Call to order again. Okay, would everybody stand for the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you. We thank you for the country that we live in, for the freedom that we so wonderfully enjoy. And tonight we thank you for the Holy Spirit and for your guidance for our city, for our country, but most of all for our little town right here, our little city in California City. I ask that you would touch each and every heart that not only hears this prayer and hears this council meeting, but goes to church on Sunday or on their knees in their room to pray for wisdom and guidance for the city, that she may grow, she may prosper, that our children may inherit something that is beautiful and good. For the glory of your kingdom, I ask these things in the wonderful name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Catherine, it's nice to see you back. Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Councilmember Lucinovich,
Present.
Smith R.
Here.
Smith W.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Paris,
Here.
Mayor McGuire.
McGuire has called in sick. City Clerk, any reports or late communications?
Yes, sir. A couple first. We wanted everyone to know that on the website tonight, there is the Granicus link. So you should be able to follow along. It is working. Be nice, we'll get there. But wanted everybody to know that that's starting up, so you guys can tune in there. I have a couple of correspondence from Liam Powers. This one's dated February 15th, December 2019 financial statement analysis. February 16th, city is strongly urged to conduct an independent investigation into the causes of the cluster of water breaks on February 6th and 7th this year. February 17th, revenue problems revealed in the December 2019 financial statement. And that is it.
Thank you. Presentations, City Treasurer Fulton.
Evening, council, staff, and our gracious public. Our treasury account is staying good. I'm pleased to announce that over the last two pay periods, we've spent considerably less than we had been in some of the pay periods past. The investment accounts are doing good at $17+ million right at this time as of the 31st last month. And that's all I have. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to take them. Thank you.
Thank you. This time we have civic and community organization announcements. Helen Desert, pleasure to see you, ma'am.
Nice to see you too, gentlemen. I'm here this evening to invite the praying public, anyone in California City who is churched or not, who prays for the city, to join a prayer group on Saturday. We meet from 1 to 2 p.m. every Saturday at the IKEA Missions Building. For those of us who've been
For anybody interested in attending a class, so we can issue new licenses, that we have to have a minimum of 8 people signed up. We usually lose a few, so we don't want to lose them all over a period of time. There's no cost except the cost of the book, which is about $25 to go through the class. And so if anybody would like to sign up to join our class over at Senior Center, they can contact me here at City Hall. Just leave me a voicemail on my phone or call and hopefully catch me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Before we go to public business from the floor, at the 5:30 session, we pulled PH1 and new business 1. So they are pulled and we will not be discussing them tonight. So public business from the floor. Would anyone like to come over the street?
Good evening, Council. Karen Macedonia. I want to address something that it's a term and a definition. The term is implicit bias. We all have both positive and negative implicit bias that exists because we unconsciously hold attitudes towards others or associate stereotypes with people. This is a prejudice that is deep-seated within the brain, below the conscious level, and often runs counter to our expressed beliefs. I want to address something about our city council that I believe may indicate that we have an unidentified implicit bias at work. We have unique circumstances that, due to resignations, we have replaced a female council member with a woman and a black council member with we have replaced a female council member and a black councilman with 2 white men. And then this is the handbook for public officials, which I got when I was elected to East Kern Healthcare. So I want to read a section out of it. Real ethical standards are more important than laws. Officials must be alert to ethical standards unique to office holders. People seek office because they believe they have a contribution to make to the community. Elected officials naturally believe their proposals are important for the good of the community. Competence is a step away from arrogance. An end justifies the means standards is always just around the corner. Public officials must be skeptical about their own opinions. The structure of government is simple. An elected governing body establishes policies and hires officials to carry out the policy. The officers hire employees to translate management directives into programs. Agencies do not magically function without the hard work of a dedicated team of officials and employees. Teams succeed when each official and employee knows and fulfills their role. A winning team means an award-winning agency will emerge. I want to encourage our council to constantly question themselves to ensure that there are no implicit biases. We are poised at a time of great change and a time of great potential. And I want you to ask yourselves with each choice you make, if you are making choices that are leading us to become an award-winning city. Thank you.
I'm sorry, one just started right there. Okay. Thank you first. Okay. I am here to speak for Tammy Johnson, California City. I'm here to speak for Miss Debbie here, but really for all of us. I'm here tonight for one reason. I'm tired. That sounds like a funny thing to say, but it really isn't. I'm here because I'm exhausted on levels I didn't even know existed. I now understand the weight of different emotions. For example, hate, not dislike, but absolute hate, is incredibly heavy. That alone can wear a person out down to the soul. The weight of grief is astronomical, heavy enough to destroy a whole universe when it chooses. To carry it for a lifetime means you're a little closer to the end than before. If we pair up frustration, disappointment, and the frequent tears, now you're mixing lethal doses of toxic emotions, and in the end, they will all contribute greatly to your own demise. From my perspective, the hatred and grief were forced on me. I didn't choose them, and they will be my burden for all time. I can do nothing about that. She's not coming back. The tears, well, those are my saving grace, my overflow repository for the times that I'm crushed by the hatred and grief. They are painful but useful and necessary. Now the frustration and disappointment, those are different. While they became mine at the hands of others without my consent, I believe they can be fought against. I'm just not sure if I have anything left to fight with. What do I say to those that sit before me now with my life in their hands? I've heard enough of the politics and about the good old boy network, etc. We all choose who we align ourselves with based on our mutual interest. It's about the he said, she said, pardon my French, bullshit. Just grow up. That's a reality. Deal with it. My reality is on my time here. Your position says you hold the purse string, yet your loyalty seems to be with one group or the other. Even in politics, sometimes the heart needs to be heard. For 3.5 years, I feel like my words have fallen on deaf ears and steel hearts. I am only one of 8. If you can't hear us, then allow me to convince Tanika and Buddy and Cassie and maybe your own children can soften your head. Hiring Detective O'Quinn in January of last year was the best thing to happen to the 8 cases. Say what you will about our 8 cases, the fact is O'Quinn had gotten further than anyone previously. He was and still is very interested in and invested in solving them. Just like everyone else that was not an inside player, I can only base my opinion on my understanding. I get O'Quinn pissed off a few people. He's a cop and a damn good one. Expecting anything less would be asinine. Him not being here isn't a matter of money, it's personal. Whether he's liked on a personal level by those in control should have no bearing on this. Bring O'Quinn back. We need him. It would seem the value of solving these cases could only benefit not just the family, but the city as a whole. And this is only for your eyes. So if you wouldn't mind. Thank you.
Al, it's good to see you back.
Thank you. I enjoyed myself. Good evening, Al Hudson. Got about 2 or 3 things here. First off, I'd like to comment on the Treasurer's report of the investment. The majority of the investment money is water enterprise money, and it has been commingled with the city's general funds. And those monies have been invested in the Sierra Bank and such. But what is not done is the separation and division of the interest earned. The Water Enterprise Fund should be credited with interest earned from the investments, not put into the general fund for general use. What we're talking about there, the bulk of the money is well over $12 million. I'd like you to direct the city treasurer to separate the funds and distribute the interest on them accordingly. Thank you on that issue. The next issue is each and every person that has been paying water rates since 2015 has overpaid. The water rate study pointed out or authorized the replacement of 204 miles of water lines. We've had 124 water rate increase, and we haven't gotten anything for our money. The money is just sitting here, and that's prohibited under Prop 218. Each and every person that is on a 3/4 inch water main is entitled to date of a minimum of $1,700 refund. That's for 4,300 persons. Persons on a 1 inch meter, they're entitled to $2,800 refund for money that was allocated for a purpose and not used. The same thing for a 2 inch, they're received $9,200. The 3 inch is $19,800. 4 inch, $35,000 refund. Each and every person that hears this needs to demand that the city issue refunds forthwith. If not, well then, they're right for a case regardless of what any attorney or council member objects to. My next comment is, or actually, let's do a question on this one. Will the city refund the persons I've identified, or upon the submission of a request for a refund those monies? The answer is either yes or no. Do I have an answer? No answer? Okay. Now the next item is that Public Works caused this issue, and the council compounded it. How did they do that? Public Works has not kept pace with the water line replacement. I have stood at this podium many times requesting an accounting of how many feet of water line have been replaced. We never get any answers. We get excuses. The council member sitting here that voted for that 124% increase over the last 5 years. Would actually need I would call him an alternate, a person that has a degree in project management to oversee the projects of Public Works, because a Public Works person never has been a qualified project manager. That's from Mr. Bevins to current. Mr. Bevins, who is our Public Works director, 10 years ago, he tried to sell the public a $50 million bond to want to replace the water lines. Mr. Platt, who knows what he did with the money? He just didn't spend it. He did not hire a dedicated crew as was presented to the public and approved by the council. Not this council, but just one person sitting there.
Mr. Hudson, your time's up.
Okay, thank you. And by the way, I have copies of the analysis and the numbers should anyone care for them. You'll be posted on a website.
Thank you.
Good job, Al. Good evening, Charles Schaefer.
Good to see you back, Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you. There have been many changes. Congratulations to the Smiths. Congratulations to Chief Walker and Gossip. And Ms. Lynn. It's been that long since I've been there. I want to talk about the tiny homes. I believe that there is an unintended consequence to these. Donald Trump, President, and the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Dr. Carson, are talking about withholding funds because of homeless people. In 1984, now some of you may be too young, and some of you may be too old to remember, but Mayor Tom Bradley one night had LAPD and Metro system collect up all the homeless people right before the 1984 Olympics and deposited them to the chagrin of San Bernardino and Riverside. Out of sight, out of mind. A week ago, Tuesday, I was viewing a meeting from a mayor from Tracy. He had mentioned that Stockton had just built a brand new homeless shelter. And he had asked the council if there was any way that they could come up with bus tickets and ship their homeless to Stockton. Now, what does that have to do with California City? We're gonna put up tiny homes. These are shelters, small, that will suit the needs of these homeless people, whether they're college-age students, homeless, veterans, homeless, elderly, homeless. Governor Newsom on Thursday of last week said that California is going to secure unoccupied domiciles to house the homeless. Still, what does that have to do with California City? Nothing. In 2028, Los Angeles is again going to hold an Olympics. Now, they may get rid of the homeless now, but in 2028, they're going to be looking for another place to dump their homeless. In California City having these tiny homes, and I'm sorry, Mr. Twig will tell you, I was for these in 2017 and 18. I would suggest that we consider whether this is the way we're going to go because of what is coming up. I know we don't plan that far ahead, but these are things that are coming down the pipe. I may not even be alive then, but other people that I like will still be here. I don't want that dumped on them. I want to bring up the 10-day grace period for water bills. That is not truly a 10-day grace period. It's a 7-day grace period, and sometimes 6, due to the fact of first of the month holidays, the closure of the city hall on the first Friday, which would fall in the first 10 days, plus the Saturday and Sunday, that would equate to giving people 6 days to pay their water bill. Now, some people say, well, they can just come down here. Some of these people don't have bank accounts and have to pay in cash. They need that extra day. And I don't see why it would be that hard for the city to change the first and third to the second and fourth days off, Fridays off, so that citizens can get down here and pay their water bill before they run into a late fee. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
How y'all doing? My name is Tony. I'm kind of new out here. Only been here like maybe 2 times in the whole city.
What's your last name, Tony?
McGee.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I noticed that there's a lot of negatives, and that's why I don't know the negatives in the city. I can only emphasize on what I've seen so far since I've been here. And I would like to say that, and I'm a political activist, and I go throughout the United States. Also, I go throughout the whole state doing petitions. And I would like to say that this is one of the most hospitable cities I've been in since, I've been doing this. And there's some mean cities in this state. And you guys are really nice. I mean, I can't say thank you for being really nice to me, to the whole city, but I guess you guys are city, you represent the city, so I can say thank you to you all. So I just want to say, if you see me out, sign a petition, don't be scared. We're trying to do a lot of things in the state, and again, thank you. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. McGee.
All right.
Anyone else?
I know there's no second call, but I'd like to advise the council that the sound is inaudible.
Inaudible?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, on broadcast.
Which one?
Which one, yeah.
Cindy,
Francis or YouTube?
the one that's put on by the city.
They're streaming dual right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I just got a message on.
At this time, we'll have city managers report.
Mayor Pro Tem, council, citizens, only have a few things. The RFP for the airport roof, airport HVAC, the RFP for water rate study and standby, and the RFP for the roof and chamber will be posted at City Hall by the chamber building, spray building. It will be posted as well, and it'll be on our website. So look for that. If you have any questions, you can talk to Joe Berrigan. Spencer will be in charge of the chamber bidding process, and Robert Keane for the airport. Staff met with Kern Cog, and we're finalizing the TDA paperwork. We'll be going back 3 years, 16, 17. Again, we'll draw that down. And through 18, 19, if all goes well, we're expecting about 2.3 million for the projects proposed. After the last meeting, there were some comments about waste management. I did talk to them the next day. They were very quick to respond. And we've talked about putting flyers in water bills, just getting the word out there to give the public the number to contact if they do have a problem. And if you don't have that number, you can call 760-463-6024. And with that, PD had a report for us as well.
Good evening, council, ladies and gentlemen. Before I actually get into the meat and potatoes of this, I want to publicly acknowledge and thank Councilman Ron Smith and Michael Ellison from Ace Hardware. When I first arrived in Cal City and took over the station, our break room was in serious disarray. I put that out to the city manager, who was able to put that out to Ron Smith and Michael Ellison, who stepped up. And I have brand new painted break room and brand new tile that's being put in this week. So thank you very much. I truly appreciate that from my officers. As far as crime, we're doing a really, really good job just by the numbers. Part 1 crime is down 8% from this time last year, and actually 14% from last month. So even though we're small, we're doing a really good job, and my guys are working really hard. I'd also like to mention that this week we hired a new administrative assistant. My administrative assistant is Adam McGraw, and also one of the animal control officers, and Annette Cummings. They all started this week. One of our commendable cop capers for the month is we identified and took down an illegal marijuana grow house, which netted us 1,161 plants confiscated and 1 arrest. So that's the report for this month.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Lynn, anything else?
Any questions?
Absolutely.
Do we have a date for mid-year review?
It's March 10th, the next meeting. And the fire and the PD, I know it's been a question, they will reflect the 153.
When will we have the, accurate financial statements for that? For me to review?
It'll be 10 days prior. I'll make sure you guys get it before to look at.
So that's,
It'll be the
was it 29th, is that next, Tuesday or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it next Tuesday?
At the end of the week. By the weekend, okay. And then, will we have, an accurate end of last year as well to compare to?
Of 17, 18?
Last year's 18, 19.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Paris. Just like to state, with Chief Walker's report on the break room, the gift from Michael Ellison with tile, the material, the paints was probably in the area of $25,000 to $3,000. So it was very significant, very significant gift. Mrs. Lynn, I think this is an appropriate time. I have been, 4 different people have brought up the plastic sheeted greenhouses at 19531 Neuralia. Do those meet code? It literally looks like it's plastic sheeted greenhouses, and going down Mitchell, going around town, they're unlike everything else. They look like a temporary structure with plastic. I can't imagine that would meet code, how there's any way you could do odor control on that. I don't know if you've had questions on that, but and then I had a question on, I don't know if anything has been done yet on the for lack of a better term, the kitty litter plant.
Yes, I have an update. The son of the deceased prior tenant has come forward, and he is going to be cleaning it up in his father's honor. He stepped forward and he's going to be cleaning all that out. In the meantime, code enforcement and the attorneys have still moved forward with the eviction notice. But
How long have we been working on that eviction notice?
Issue originally arose because he
Yeah, I want to say it's been about, the issue first came up about 2 years ago. There was an issue because the owner was deceased, and trying to track that down has been a bit difficult. And it didn't become a priority for a while because there were some other matters, eviction that took priority.
Thank you, ma'am.
Councilman Ron, he has an explanation on the plastic.
So I actually questioned that as well. The owner of the property came into the building, and I said, "Hey, what's going on with that plastic? It doesn't look like it's very strong." He reassured me that it's actually plastic fibers woven together. It's apparently manufactured in Israel, and it's super high tension plastic sheeting. He says it will withstand 130 miles an hour wind, and it's, yeah. So if you have any other questions, I can put you in touch with the owner.
Well, how will that possibly be able to odor control? How can they hang anything on that for odor control? All I'm seeing is a plastic sheeted building regardless of the fibers. Odor is obviously an issue that we are dealing with. I don't know how in the world, in a place that's going to blow across the residences, how can they do odor control in that?
I can double check with him. He assured me that they were strong enough to contain all the odors as well, because I mentioned that part. So I can double check with him and get you some more answers.
Thank you, sir.
John, before you leave, would you have them bring the specifications of that plastic into us so that we can confirm 135 miles range here? Just to take his word would be
Mayor Pro Tem, also on that, this is what council approved the temporary greenhouses. I believe it was back in 2018, I have to check the agendas. But, the structure itself is rated for our wind speed 130 miles per hour, but the overlay doesn't have to be. In this particular case, this developer wanted to do a plexiglass exterior, but the fire code wouldn't allow it. So he went as thick as he could with this material, and it is considered a temporary greenhouse. But the structure is rated for 130 miles per hour winds, and that's what was brought to council by the previous city manager, and that's what was approved by the previous council. But I did talk to the developer myself. He's not opposed to putting plexiglass on the outside. It would just have to be approved by the fire chief.
Mr. Berrigan, just, is there any way that I could get or the entire council could get a copy of,
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have all the plans and everything in file. We can get you guys. We'll probably just scan them in because they're big, and then we'll email you guys the PDF.
but if I could see, if we could get the, for us, what was ever passed on the temporary greenhouses?
Oh yeah, that, and I can definitely get you that. I'll get it tomorrow on an email.
Thank you very much, sir.
Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Berrigan.
This time, we're gonna go to consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine and non-controversial, and will be approved by one motion if no member of the council, staff, or public wishes to comment or ask questions. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Roll call vote is required. This time we have CC1, roof check register, CC2, resolution of Second Amendment rights, CC3, monthly department updates and reports, CC4 is BHG Engineering, Second Amendment of Agreement for Professional Services. Do we have anyone that would like to discuss any of these items?
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Harris, council members, City Manager Lynn, and staff. My name is Brian Glidden with Aero Engineering. I wanted to talk about some concerns I have with CC4. And I think going into a little bit of history.
Brian, before you do that, right now, we're just, would you like it full for discussion?
Yes, I'd like to have a quick discussion.
Do a full CC4 for discussion.
So will you call me back up?
We will call you back up.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public like any of the consent calendar full for discussion?
Congratulations, Mr. Harris. I forgot you. You got an upgrade.
Did I?
You went from council
Thank you.
member to mayor pro tem. Now,
That doesn't necessarily mean it's an upgrade, but I thank you for that.
condolences. But anyway, sorry, I forgot about you. I'm here in support of the Second Amendment rights of the city. But I don't believe that we're going far enough to protect the Second Amendment.
Would you like to pull that for discussion?
No, I am in support of it, but I believe that we need to go further with this. And perhaps I could discuss with one of the council members in the future, the problems with just being a Second Amendment sanctuary city.
It is not a sanctuary city, it's a Second Amendment constitutional city.
Constitutional city. All right. Thank you.
I'll be more than willing to talk to you since I brought this forward.
Thank you.
Any others want to pull any CC item?
Jim Creighton, California City. I would like to pull CC2 for discussion. Also on CC1, there's a portion of check number 107240 totaling $9,409.99 for public works supplies under GL accounts 51-51-15-270, 140, and 450. Check register says those accounts don't exist. Where are we getting the money from? Just throwing it out there. And then as another thing, over the years, I've seen a lot of check registers where it says inventory items, whether it be for vehicle maintenance, or public works inventory, parks and rec, is there an accounting system that applies all of those items to a job or a vehicle? Projects aside, I'm just saying regular inventory, because that's an audit item that's ready to bite you in the butt. And then, on CC3, with Mr. Barrigan now officially the Public Works Director, and congratulations to him, the senior building official position now vacant, who is doing the senior building official's job? The staffing document says there are no other building officials within the city. So is he still doing double duty, or what?
Would you like to answer that?
He is doing double duty. There are 2 other Public Works employees, though, that are qualified, are going to be recertified to carry that load as well.
Good evening again, Al Hudson, under the, under Public Works. Since Mr. Platt was here, there had been an authorization for an in-house city engineer. And it's been that way, that position has been vacant for about 18 months or so. And I'd like to know what Public Works.
So do you want to pull CC3 for department updates and reports?
Yes, because there's no allocation for that position in the monthly staff reports. I'd like to know why and how soon it will be put back into place, because we do need a city engineer.
Okay, so it looks like we need to pull CC1, CC2, CC3, and CC4 for discussion.
It kind of looks that way.
Okay. Okay, let's start with CC1. Anyone want to talk about the check register? Mr. Frank, would you like to come back up? And
I didn't ask for it to be pulled, I just had a question, and if I get an answer, that's great.
Mr. Creighton's questions were very, very valid. I wish he'd come back on up here and like us ask some more
All I need is an
questions.
answer, where's it coming from? Where's the money coming from?
Exactly, and there's funds,
We can answer that.
there's money that's being taken out of who knows where for what purpose. That's what's not there. So there's something remiss. Also, why is finance buying a computer for the OHV? That's another question on that. And if we look at the check register, you'll see that there's money being spent out of funds that are not associated, that's not associated with the purchases. Why?
I think that would be handled with our city manager. She could discuss that with you later, unless she wants to do it now.
Okay.
I have an answer for the OHB credit cards and finance. We pulled credit cards, every department had a credit card. So now in finance, there's one credit card that goes through Beth Boone, our accounts payable. They check it out. If it's an approved purchase, they purchase it. It's just that credit card says finance. When it comes back in to be paid, it gets allocated to that proper GL. So we initially purchased it with that credit card. When it came in, the payment was allocated and debited from the OHB account. So
So
it
it's paid
just,
for out
yeah.
of finance and debited through the accounting
not
process.
debited, wrong word, sorry. It's when the bill's paid, it's allocated and taken from the OHB GL.
Okay, because when you look at the codes, the general ledger account codes, you can trace and see where the money is coming from and what it's being spent, but we can't see who it was being spent for the benefit of.
We can add that detail.
Okay, thank you.
I just had one question, Mayor Pro Tem, on, for our, police chief, came under the US Bank credit card, 107254 for K9 Tello surgery and care. Is our K9 fine now?
Yes, sir. He's 100%. Thank you for asking.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Make a motion to approve?
Wait a minute.
Yeah, we can answer Mr. Creighton's, hopefully, answer his question.
Yes, on the missing GL part, it's a glitch with the
dash being in there. These accounts do exist. I asked Beth about it before we came out. It was just the glitch because of the dash sitting there. The accounts do exist.
This time we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? All in favor?
No, that's a roll call vote.
Roll call vote. This is just regarding CC one.
It was pulled.
CC one only.
Okay, CC one only. Councilmember Lucinovich?
Aye.
Smith R?
Aye.
Smith W?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Paris?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, CC two, resolution number 02-20-2818, the City of California to support the Second Amendment rights. Anyone like to speak on that?
Tim Creighton. I just wondered, I'm curious as to why this came up on a consent calendar item, when technically, with my comments, aside from my comments last meeting, this item has not been brought forth to the public as a new business item. So, it's not that I'm opposed to it, but from what I'm reading, this resolution does two things. One, you're stating that Cal City will stand in solidarity with other like-minded cities. And two, the city receives a charge for the attorney writing the resolution. I'm just curious as to why it was a consent calendar item when there was no opportunity for the public to talk about this, when 9 times out of 10, people just let the consent calendar item go right by. I mean, so that's, it should have come up for discussion, then a resolution could be put forward.
We don't set the agenda, the city manager does. And to answer your question on, go ahead, city manager, you good?
I was told by the city clerk, the city attorney said it was just a declaration that it was already done. Just any more comment on that? Was that what? So, as it is, we exist a constitutional Second Amendment city, and so.
And
Well, it can be done either way. Sometimes these are on consent, sometimes they're for discussion, and I could see this easily being something to discuss.
I elect you guys to set the agenda.
State your name, sir.
David Evans, you know him. I elect you guys to set the agenda, not city manager.
So in regards to your question as to who wrote the resolution,
I know who wrote it.
who wrote it?
City attorney.
He did not. So it was written by myself and one other person. It was submitted to the city attorney to see if there was anything that needed to be added or subtracted. They looked at it and presented it as is. Any other questions regarding CC2? Do we want to vote on these separately, or should we just go 3 and 4 and then vote on them?
Charles Schaefer. I would like to have this item pulled.
It's been pulled. You want to discuss it?
No, not right now. I'd like to talk to you about expanding upon it.
Okay, well, at this time, we're going to vote on it, and we'll go from there.
It can always be improved.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I need a motion on CC2.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember Lucinovich?
Aye.
Smith R?
Aye.
Smith W?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Paris?
Yes.
Motion carried.
CC3. Any questions from the public on CC3?
Yes, good evening, Alvin again. On this CC3, as I previously stated, the provisions have been approved made and approved by the, then sitting council for a city engineer, and rather a city in-house engineer. And we don't see that seat being filled in the last 18 months, and we don't see any attempts at filling that seat. But what is currently being done to fill that seat?
City Manager Lynn, would you like to comment on that?
We can post for that job, we love that in-house engineer, there's been hiring freezes, budget issues, and it just hasn't been put back out.
And when it was posted, nobody applied.
Okay,
Yeah.
and with the police department, what's being done to fully staff it, because under the special tax, we're paying for a fully staffed police department.
I can speak to that. As we speak, I have 2 laterals ready to start within the next 2 weeks. I have 2 recruits on their way to the academy in March, we'll be back by September, and I have 4 laterals waiting to come in now, just pending background.
Okay, thanks.
So by the end of the year, all things good, I should be up to just about a full staff by the end of the year.
Okay, and there's funds available to pay them adequate salaries and all of those things.
From what I've been able to ascertain at this point, yes, sir.
Okay, because, and the money that's in the police budget, is there a separation between staff payments and general purposes such as the replacement of vehicles and such?
Absolutely.
Okay, funds are separated, thank you.
Found that out firsthand this week.
Any other comments on CC3?
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, staff. With respect to CC3, department updates and reports on the planning component, there is a list of projects, including new projects. I believe it's the 3rd item on new projects, talks about lots that may be in a zone change. It doesn't give any detail. Is there some further report what that actually is that is coming for a zone change as new projects? It's the 3rd item up from planning. I could only possibly presume that it may be the possibility of the tiny home district, possibly. Do you know?
No, that's not it. We don't have anything.
You don't know what the detail is of what that new project is?
No.
Okay, and I'll take just this moment, very brief. If there is a new project in planning and it has anything to do with the tiny home district, I suppose that it will be more than 1,000 lots and therefore possibly could qualify for the newspaper publication. Maybe doesn't need the mailing. I've asked Ms. Hilliker to confirm that as well. And so just keep in mind, we may not have to do a mass mailing if it's more than 1,000 lots. Thank you.
Any more questions on CC3? Motion?
This is a motion to accept monthly department updates and reports.
That is correct.
The motion was to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember Lucinda?
Aye.
Smith R?
Aye.
Smith W?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Paris?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, since public hearing 1 has been pulled, CC4, I'm sorry, PhD engineer. Any comments from the public?
Good evening again. Brian Glidden with Arrow Engineering. I'm requesting that the CC4, the contract be modified and brought back to the next council meeting, and have some information I wanted to provide to you to help back up the reasoning behind that. There's a lot of history behind this contract and the contract that I was fortunate enough to be selected for. So back in the summer of 2018, between about the end of summer and October, the city went out for qualifications for 2 separate contracts. One was for providing engineering services for federal and state projects, and the second went out for doing city engineering and ongoing consulting engineering services. After the city received 2 or 3 different qualifications for each one of those requests, staff and the city council awarded to BHT on January 22nd the contract to provide state and federal project services. On February 26th, Aero Engineering was selected to be the city engineer and to provide ongoing consulting engineering services. The term of that contract is 2 years. When we were selected for that, staff knew that Aero Engineering was working on several local projects. And since we were working on a couple projects, staff decided to add a second firm to be a backup to Aero Engineering to provide engineering services should there be a conflict of interest, and only in that situation. And if you look at the information on the February 26th agenda, and if you look at the contracts, you will see that very specific verbiage. So my concern tonight is that BHT's contract is being extended beyond the length of our contract for providing city engineer services and ongoing local services, engineering services for local funds. That was never the intent. So the intent was that they would be running in parallel and be there to back us should there be a conflict of interest. So my request is that the city consider, if they consider this extension, that they make it match the contract for AESI for the same term, 2019 and 2020, and not go all the way to 2021. There's also whereas clauses in the contracts. If you take a look at Amendment 1 and Amendment 2, that say that whereas Aero Engineering was selected as the city engineer and to do ongoing consulting services, and that BHT would only provide, again, services if there was a conflict of interest. So again, they were backup. They weren't to be the main source of those services. So I'm asking that the whereas in this contract be modified to match and say under those conditions, and also match the terms that were set up for our contract that they, again, piggybacked on top of to help in a situation of a conflict of interest.
Time, Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Berrigan, would you like to speak on that?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to amend this contract so it only goes to this year, because we plan on putting it out again, doing a new RFQ to get a new city engineer. So it would make sense to just have it go to this year.
So would you like to pull it and bring it back to us?
Sure. Yeah, if you can, let's pull it and then we'll bring it back where it goes to the end of the year, December 31st, 2020.
Thank you. At this time, we'll pull CC4.
Okay, no public comment, no further.
You can make a comment if you like, sir.
But, this was, looks like it was created conflict, animosity, and it's a display of disregarding of contractual relationships.
Thank you, sir. This time, we'll move on to new business 2. Water replacement, 72nd Street to Isabella, Public Works Berrigan.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So, a little bit of background. The city steel water pipes is failing, as everybody knows. City staff is continuing the effort to replace all the steel water main pipes in the city, and our city staff is ready to start the next project. The project would be on CCB from 72nd to Isabella. Currently, we have a 10-inch steel water main pipe. That pipe will replace a 10-inch C909 PVC pipe. The material for this project is estimated at $38,191. Staff is only receiving a quote from Ferguson to ensure quality, accuracy, and timeliness with the materials and parts that are ordered. The time frame for this project is 2 to 3 months. The labor for this project is estimated to be 3 maintenance workers, 2 general service workers at 320 hours each. The following equipment, which we already have, that will be used is 2 backhoes, 1 water truck, if the council approves the project. The estimated labor cost is around $75,000. This brings the total project cost just a little under $115,000. The recommendation to City Council is that the City Council approve the new 10-inch water main replacement on CCB from 72nd to Isabella at a cost not to exceed $115,000. And then I want to give a little explanation on Ferguson, because this has been brought up in the past. In the past, the city has tried to use other wholesale houses, and the issue we have with that is we're into a situation where we need a special valve, and either the other company that we're using that is cheaper will take 2 to 3 weeks to get it to us, or they'll get us something that's not American made, where the quality is not the same, and then we see that a couple of years later we'll have issues with it. So just in order for the project to run smoothly and to not have any issues based off of our past, we'd like to stick with Ferguson as our provider for material. One of the things we do with Ferguson too is we ask for a quote for big projects like this. We always do, and we get a quote way ahead of time before we order material. That gives staff an opportunity to look at the quote and see if there's anything that kind of sticks out as being way too high. And in the past, staff has called Ferguson and said, hey, on this 10-inch valve, this is the best you could do. And then they'll look at it and say, hey, yeah, our margin is at only 7% or 8%. That's the lowest we could go. At that point, we have the ability to go out to other companies and see what they would charge. But when you're talking about large material orders like this, in this case, $38,000, it's best just to go one company, one that's been proven, provides the material, good quality stuff to get the project done correctly. The one thing I didn't talk about this was the actual impact on this. Once again, this will be the same thing as the other deferred capital projects. We had this originally in the budget. This was actually approved in, I believe it was 2018, under a different project list, but based off of the budget talks and stuff like that, we know council wants to bring everything back to council for approval. So that is why staff brought this back to council. One of the things that we did when we pulled all the items out of the budget is we don't have line items. Ideally, for a project like this, we would have a line item that says $130,000 for CCB between 72nd and Isabella, and then I come to council and I say, there's $130,000 in this budget line item. This is gonna not cost $150,000. You'll have a difference of $15,000. Without these items being listed on the budget, I'm not able to do that. So that is why the fiscal impact is just states what it says on there right now. Also, too, we have a number for deferred capital in the budget, but it's really until we get the audits done, it's not an accurate number. I don't want to bring a number to staff unless I feel confident that it's accurate. Until we get the audits done, I don't have the ability to do that. So having said all that, I'll take questions now.
Discussion from the public?
Council Keith Middleton, I'm just curious, we're gonna be on the north side of the road or the south side?
North side.
Okay, that's all.
Good evening again, Al Hudson. This replacement is not in concert with the engineer's report of 2014. What I mean by that is that 5.8 miles of water line was supposed to be replaced, and that works out to about 125 feet per day. And we have let's see here, a 1,300, I'm sorry, about 1,300 feet of water main replacement. It's gonna take 3 months. That's absolutely absurd. It just defies an engineer's projection and what the city ratepayers have paid for. That needs to be revisited or put out for a contract bid, not in-house, because at the rate of 3 months for 1,300 feet, take about 200 years to replace the water lines in this city. Pull this item.
Mayor Pro Tem, I could address that if you like. Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, on the labor here, we want it to be, we have a really conservative number, only because there's a lot of driveways, there's a lot of, concrete on that side. And we wanna make sure we take our time, there's a lot of homes, there's gonna be pedestrians on that side. One of the things we're gonna do with this project, as along with, the Norelli extension, we're gonna keep daily logs, we're gonna keep track of the time, we're gonna create, statistics that we can use down the road. We're hoping to do a lot better. A perfect example is a project on Aurelia. We're way ahead of schedule. We're averaging about 154 feet per day of main line installation, and that's a 12-inch line. Of course, that's completely different. That's altered. It's easy to go. There isn't too many utilities. In this case, we have a lot of utilities that we have to deal with. So we're hoping the numbers will be way down. But we wanted to give council a very conservative number on the labor part.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson?
Tammy Johnson, California City. How many houses are going to benefit from this water line?
I don't have that number. I can get it for you though.
And is it homes or is it dirt lots or a mix of the two?
It's mostly homes.
And as well, I just want to express my own opinion, but that it should be put out for bid. And I have concerns about the overtime that we might accrue if it is done in-house. And I think that we are in a position as a city with the citizens at the moment regarding our fiscal viability as to have something a little more transparent. And if the 3 bids are submitted and it's still thought to be better than an in-house, or if the in-house job is thought to be better, then go with that. But I think just for the people to see the steps of the transparency, that's what we're at.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? If not, we'll bring it up here to council. Any questions, comments?
Well, I have I've got a comment. I've made a big deal about 3 bids. I understand the city's relationship with Ferguson. Got a call from my son yesterday. His heater was out. Calls an HVAC guy in Texas, and it's gonna be $7,492 because everything's gotta be replaced. I said, that's preposterous. Was gonna lend him some money on that. And I said, based upon, you're gonna get 3 bids. And ended up getting it repaired today for $247 for a capacitor and a filter that was plugged. I don't have an issue with our city employees doing the water line, but just as you were discussing Ferguson, when something may be higher, you ask them to change it. I just think that 3 bids, unless it's a single source vendor, if we can get 3 bids, it will keep the bidders honest. And we've been using them for 10 years as a pre-approved vendor. I think it's pretty easy to get comfortable. They'll be coming to us. I think it's appropriate to have them sharpen their pencil a bit. So I'm all for the water line. I just can't approve it unless there's 3 bids on the material specifically. I think what Mrs. Johnson had to say in regards to putting this out for bid, but we are in such an issue for water line replacement. We've seen that. Our citizens are clamoring for water line replacement, so I appreciate you putting this. You said this was a very important area that's got some needs, so I appreciate you bringing this. But I can't approve this based upon only one single bid. I just think it's too easy to get comfortable that you're not going else, so you'll go to me and we're gonna charge you what we want to charge you.
Any other questions or comments from council?
Sounds like a mess. Per se, a 10-inch line isn't a a line for a house, is it?
No, this is our main line.
So this is the main line that increases capacity to the whole area behind where the line goes. So you can't compare how many homes it'll service. A 10-inch line probably will serve 2,400 homes by the time it's all divvied out, brought down from, this is a 10-inch or a 12-inch line? 10-inch down to 6-inch. So that question's not material to it. As far as the parts go, would it not make more sense to go for bids on a complete project as opposed to as parts where they don't even know they're going to use all the parts for something like this?
Well, we're looking, sir, at, just the material is, over $38,000. I think that's pretty significant.
Hasn't our bills with Ferguson every month been roughly 15,000, 20,000 a month on a routine basis anyway? So I mean, that's been their source. Now, I looked at this. I'm looking right now at what I want to see this the water department deliver in terms of projects is how much they can actually deliver, so that we can discuss the merits of the rate increase, the water rate increase, and its justification. If the water department can't deliver a project, then we're going to be in the position of having to go to bid, creating requests for proposals and actually soliciting multiple bids to actually bring new water lines to Cal City. This is really a measure of the project being done in-house and unencumbered by the proposal process. And if we're gonna have to sit back and stretch out how long it's gonna take, we're gonna lose windows of opportunity to actually get something done. Al's complaining he wants to see results, and here we're saying, well, shoot, we don't want to. We want to get we want to get all this paperwork and constantly re-examine all this stuff. And I'm wondering if we're not better off seeing what the department can do in-house and just let them fly. Let's see how much let's see if they can give 5 miles of line and then do it. If it's in-house and a cost savings, we're not going to care about the cost of the parts. Because I guarantee that if you hire a contractor on a bid, we're going to pay, hopefully, not hopefully, I would think that we'll pay probably 50% more to deliver the same project. And if we're not getting that kind of a savings overall, then next year this project isn't done by in-house, it's done by proposal only. This is the year I want to see them do this work, and I want them to start with the first sunny day, so that they're working through the whole working season. I want to see what they can do. I don't expect to see many water lines being built in December when it's 40 degrees outside and potentially rain. I want to see what they can do when the weather turns good, and I want to see some results. And if we keep asking them to do paperwork, we're not going to see any results. We're going to spend the whole springtime creating an approval process for them. So personally, I'd like to just see it move forward and see how much they can get done unencumbered. And then truly at the end of this all, then start to actually go through the process of evaluating and saying, this makes sense or it doesn't make sense in-house. Because right now we can't even make that statement. We have no clue. And I think that Joe's telling us that he's trying to create a study research basis for deciding how to expand on the development of this project. So I don't know. To me, it's like I want to get them moving. I want them working yesterday, to be honest with you.
And I appreciate that, Councilman Lucinovich. I don't have a bit of problem with doing this in-house going forward, But, if I don't request that there are 3 bids on this, then there's gonna be a, new opportunity for a councilman to be appointed, because I'm serious about the 3 bids, and, if I were to vote yes on this, then I will be walking off the dais, because I've already publicly stated that I wanna see 3 bids, and with the Zoll being a single source vendor, we had no option on that. I don't really think to put this out to 3 different companies. I think, at our last meeting, Mr. Berrigan saw that we went with his recommendation on the fence, and we took the highest bid based on his recommendation that this is the longer lasting fence. I don't see how putting something out for 3 bids is going to slow things down. If we would've had 3 bids, we could have made a decision here tonight. I'm just one vote. I don't have a problem in-house, but I just think we need to keep all of our 38,000. We voted down a $7,000 project. Could 10% be saved? Could 15% be saved? Don't know, because we don't have the other bids. So for me, that's a very significant. If you would have put out for the 3 bids, Mr. Berrigan, would this have slowed down the process if we were down for 3 bids on this at that time?
It is difficult to get 3 companies to bid the quantity of material we're trying to get. We're away from everybody else, and one of the things I didn't explain very well is we get great service from Ferguson, so you're almost paying for service as well. We order material, they get here as quick as possible, they bring it to us. In the past, this was tried where we went out to other, there was a company out of Bakersfield, and just the service was horrible. We were waiting 2-3 weeks for parts that Ferguson could get us in 2-3 days. And then some of the parts we were getting, the quality was not as good as Ferguson. So those are the issues we found with other companies. And just as I stated, we get the quote ahead of time like we did for this one. So we can look, we can compare, we can go online, we can do things ourselves, and stuff that staff does do that occasionally with certain big item on the quote to make sure we are getting the best deal possible.
But just to me, if you're sending it out via email, send it out, give the opportunity, you come back to your recommendation just as we did last time. And with everything said and done at Ferguson, is still, you're saying, even with lower cost, you still wanna go with Ferguson, I think you should give us the opportunity to do that. But, that's my position. I just, my boy would have paid $7,500 basically yesterday if he didn't get a second bid today. And someone said, did you check your filter? And a filter and a capacitor was all that it was. So I just think we need to have 3.
I might say, I've done water line most of my life, and we always put out the bid, but you got a standard set of, for your valves, your pipe, everything's supposed to the same different companies, you got 2 or 3 of them. Should get at least 2 bids, because there is a difference in pricing. And, I mean, your pipe's gonna be the same as made either by Certainty or by another company. If you put those in your specs, you're gonna get the exact same bid, but you can save money by getting at least 2 bids, and you know where you're at, because if you're not competing against anybody, it's real easy to jack that percentage back up a little bit, and nobody cares it, but I do think you need at least 2 bids on your, I mean, if you're gonna do a job, you've got a plan, you know how many teeth it's gonna take, you know how many companies it's gonna take. I mean, feet of pipe, send that list out, and it comes back. You may be short on certain items, but you're at least gonna get a price of what you quoted for, and therefore you know which company is gonna serve you the best, because Certainty pipe, Transite, you know, it's all basically the same. So, I do believe it should go out, you should get 2 quotes, at least 2 quotes. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, we can pull it and then we'll bring it back with at least 1 more quote. We'll try to get 2 more. So we have a total of 3.
You'll have that for the next meeting?
If we get the quotes in time, we'll bring it for the next council meeting. If not, for sure, we'll bring it back on the 24th.
So the consensus up here is to table it to the next meeting. Subject to getting 3 bids.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine. That's a
One
consensus.
other question, I'm not really sure, it sounds like we're gonna be ordering a lot of these parts beyond these ones. Is there a way to get a bid from 3 companies as to a price that they would sell it to us for, say, a whole year during that period? That way you get 3 bids, you get a price on various, and then approve them.
Yeah, there's just such fluctuation with like the steel tariffs and things like that, and, so the prices go up and down. With material like
We
this.
estimate we're estimating that for this year, we're gonna be purchasing.
Well, what happens is, we'll get a quote 1 month, 3 months later, we get another quote, we see a difference like in a valve, for example, and then we call up and go, hey, why is it, like 25% higher? And they're like, oh, well, there's.
But if they know they're gonna get a big purchase like that, can't they take the risk of those prices?
We
going
could
up?
ask, we could ask
I
them.
don't know, it's just another way of approaching it, rather than on piecemeal. I don't know, if it's not possible, it's not, it's just throwing it out there as an idea.
I think that would be something to at least to make an attempt that would satisfy me, but if there's gonna be fluctuation, it's the citizens' money, there's nothing government funded, and I just, I don't believe it would take that long to email it out there, and if they don't respond in a timely fashion, you went out for 3, 2 came back, but I'm hanging my hat on the 3 bids if at all possible.
You know, all you'd have to do is put on there a time limit, how long they're gonna stand behind that bid, 30 days, 20 days, make them put a limit of how long they will stand behind their bid.
Okay, at this time, the consensus is to table this, Mr. Berrigan, if you could bring it back at the next council meeting, put it out in an email, if you get a response, bring it to us, if you don't, tell us that there was no response, and we'll revisit this item. This time, council agenda, this portion of the meeting is reserved for council members to present information, announcements, and items that have come to their attention. The Brown Act precludes council staff or public discussion. Short staff responses are appropriate. The council will take no formal action. Council member may request the city clerk to calendar an item for consideration at a future meeting or refer the item to staff. Any councilman wish to speak? Any AB 1234? No. Councilman Wasenovich?
I have nothing tonight.
Councilman R. Smith?
Just one thing. Several years ago, we were gonna plant a church in 29 Palms. At that time, when we showed up there, they gave us a packet of what they expected. There was like 6 different styles of building. It was my understanding that they would, from that initial greet to the requesting of a permit, someone would be assigned to that. I don't know if we have anything like that in our, aside from our planning. I don't know if there's that specific hands-on follow-through. If we have such a packet that we pass out, I know, I told Chairman Creighton about it some years ago. He immediately tried to find it, and they changed their policy. They no longer do that. But at one time, they had that. It'd be kind of something, I don't know exactly what we do, but if we don't do something like that, I think it's something to ponder. So, sure.
So I've been wanting to get something like that together for a while. We kind of put it together whenever somebody comes in for specifically a cannabis development, but any development. Things with the state are always changing, so I haven't really got to nail down a full packet, but in terms of starting the process, I think we have that down. I think you hit the nail on the head of just following it through, all the way through. So.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Douglas?
Yeah, we did years ago, 12 years ago, I was on council before, we set up something where they were gonna do a design for town, and you gave like 3 different options for your exterior buildings, and it just kind of went in a way, and everybody built whatever they want. But it would be better, I mean, most towns have some kind of a design for your exterior to look the same, so you're not all over the place. I think we should think about that again to keep our main drag looking the same as we come through town.
Yeah, that's actually good timing for that comment. Hopefully in the next month, in March, and when the first planning commission is going to be canceled since they're going to be at a training in Sacramento. However, the second planning commission meeting, we should be bringing forth more news on the corridor study. We've been speaking to planning commission about it for a few months now, and specifically design guidelines will be a topic there. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
I have only one request at this time. We haven't heard anything about the solar plant or SCE and the rebates. I would like to get a copy of the contract as soon as possible so I can review it and see exactly what the contract says.
I have a quick update if you want to hear it.
Okay.
So just this morning, Cal Rossi from Southern California Edison spoke with me. I've been talking to Edison because really the only issue is they won't give us all the credits that the solar farm generates. They're putting it on the CPUC. So I've reached out to a couple of attorneys to see if they'd be willing to give us a proposal to go and look at the contracts and actually see if we can fight them to try to get that fixed. So far that I haven't got, it seems like nobody wants to take on the project or take on the task, but I will write a letter to the CPUC and just explain to the situation. We met with one of the commissioners last month in Bakersfield, and we made good contact, so I'll send out an email tomorrow, see if we can get any help from the California Public Utilities Commission on that.
Could I also get a copy of it and see if I can help resolve it?
Yeah, I'll email you the contract and all the amendments and everything tomorrow.
Thank you very much. This time, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Second. All in favor?